The North is opening up. A lot of people say that the North is our back door. As Commander Joint Task Force North, I'd like to consider it as our front door. From a Canadian Forces perspective, the North offers us tremendous opportunities. The land itself and the climate and the environment and the people are unlike anywhere else. From my perspective, one of the greatest successes was the demonstration of the Joint Task Force capability to actually command and control air, land, and sea assets. Commanding those in a joint environment here in the North is a challenge. We don't get to practice it often, but certainly NANOOK showcases the capabilities and allows me as a commander to understand how to employ each of the capabilities, air, land, and sea, in a joint environment.
Well, the Coast Guard is here to participate with the Canadian Forces in the Canadian Forces Operation NANOOK. We are here in Iqaluit. Actually, Iqaluit is one of the first areas we come to on around the 26th of June. We come north of 60. Well, as we all know, particularly those of us who spend time here, the North is absolutely vast. It's a huge territory, very few people, and there's quite frankly not that many government resources. So whatever the job, it is just the only way we can do it effectively and efficiently with a good chance of success is to all work together, whatever the mission is. And so it becomes absolutely vital that the Canadian Coast Guard, the Canadian Forces, the RCMP, the other government departments, CBSA, Health Canada, the territory, Nunavut in this case, Iqaluit, the municipalities, that we all be in a position to work together as seamlessly and as efficiently as possible. And that's more important than the North than anywhere else in Canada. It's important wherever you are in Canada, but particularly in the North, because the area is so vast.
The role of HMCS Toronto during NANOOK is to act as the Maritime Component Commander for the Commander Joint Task Force North. So for the Navy ships that are operating during NANOOK, that's Toronto and Shawinigan, I am the coordinating authority. I am the officer in charge of making sure that the maritime portion of the operation is executed in accordance with the commander's intent. The scenarios, there's 3 scenarios, and of note for the scenarios, D&D is not the lead agency in any scenario. We are playing a supporting role. So typically in Canada's North, it's been the Coast Guard and RCMP that have generated security. So the Navy coming up here and acting in a supporting role, some could question why. Well, it's because we bring a lot to the table. I mean, I have a tremendous amount of command and control capability, tremendous amount of manpower, and just by the robustness of the construction of this ship, I can, for example, landing helicopters, being able to put a naval boarding party ashore, divers. I bring a lot to the table, but I'm going to bring a lot to the table in this exercise in a supporting role. So for one scenario is a fuel spill. I expect that the Coast Guard will take the leading role, and I will respond to Coast Guard requests for assistance.
The Coast Guard is the primary responder to oil spills, environmental issues north of 60, so that's the responsibility of the Coast Guard. We have personnel trained in that regard and equipment repositioned throughout the North. There will be a mock environmental issue that we will have to respond to, and we'll be calling upon the forces to help us do that. There's also, I understand, a marine search and rescue incident that could well involve cooperation between the Coast Guard and the forces. As you know, the National Defence is the lead agency for search and rescue, but the Coast Guard has the responsibility for providing primary marine search and rescue. So we'd be working together on that. That's a very realistic exercise scenario that we'll be working on. And then, of course, I understand there's going to be a support to RCMP mission as well as this play out. That's a role that we both fill with our vessels, our people, our aircraft. whenever the RCMP call upon us as the forces, we help out the RCMP and their law enforcement.
I've yet to experience any challenges in operating with other government departments. I've been working very closely with the Coast Guard ship Radisson, who have been nothing but can-do. They are obviously very eager and excited to be a part of Operation NANOOK. For example, the master of the Radisson today, even though the meteorological conditions were borderline, we had several discussions, and he was eager to get his helicopter airborne to practice landing on my deck, a first for his crew, his helicopter crew. And as soon as the meteorological conditions improved to the point where it was safe and prudent to launch, his helicopter was in the air.
I'm very impressed by the amount of goodwill and camaraderie and the operational excellence we can have when we all work together. As I say, the working the helicopters together off the deck, something we've never done before, and it's one of those things that you work best with people you see often and work with often. And that's why it's important that we're here. Really, that's where we need to put our emphasis, I believe, is so that at all levels, we're comfortable working with one another, we know one another, and we understand that we're all committed to working together.